All right. Thanks everybody for jumping on today for our training. It's very exciting to be able to share with you what I've picked up over the years. And I created this. You've all probably read the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey. It's one of the best classic, self-motivation books out there, self-improvement books. If you haven't read it, highly recommended. But I went and put together this, which I thought was kind of fun and clever, called The 7 Habits of Highly Ineffective People. And it tells us what not to do, right? So that we can be successful in our businesses. So, as an intro, my personal philosophy, and this is something that I've learned from people much smarter than me, right? So this didn't come just from me. Okay, this is stuff I've picked up over the last 20 plus years I've been doing this kind of thing, is that we, watch the people you don't want to be like and do the opposite of what they do, right? So that's something I've picked up on. There's big leaders that you want to copy what they do, but there's also people that are just they're terrible, right? They're terrible people, and so you watch what they do and you don't do what they're trying to do. So, not trying to be a jerk or mean, but I've just seen so many examples of what people have done that's just stupid, right? They go and they do stupid things and they mess up any success that they hope to have. And, we just have to call a spade, right? Masses of men and women are highly ineffective. And I think they're good people probably, and they probably, are trying to have good hearts and trying to do good things, but I don't want to be like them at all because being like them was always one of my biggest fears, right? I've seen so many people self-destruct in our industry where they go and they start making big money and they start doing things and they sacrifice their family. They start, having affairs, or they start doing stupid things, and they end up getting divorced and, going through all these problems and having to go through bankruptcy and stuff because they weren't smart about it, right? And they do dumb things. So we're going to avoid those things, right? To be completely cured of newspapers. Here's an interesting quote. To be completely cured of newspapers, spend a year reading the previous week's newspapers, right? So we're not going to focus on the fake clown show, right? That's the key thing here. Anyone who wants, or anyone who says they want to stay informed is an ineffective person. They're also ill-informed because the news is just a massive psyop. We know that. It's designed to misinform us, right? It's all controlled, and they're not giving us what we really need to know. If you had a ton of positive things going on in your life with your career, your business, your health, your networking, you wouldn't have time to be obsessed with the news and everything that's going on. Okay. Now, obviously, we want to get out, like, for example, an election year, we want to go vote, we want to be informed and, who the candidates are and stuff like that. I'm not saying be ignorant, but what I am saying is don't let the daily news cycle influence you and have you be up one day and down the other day and all that, because in the end they always just contradict each other and then they fact check and it's a mess, right? So I just don't even deal with that, right? I can't even fathom how people get so obsessed with some of that stuff that's going on. It's crazy. It's so down on my list of priorities because I know in the end it's not going to matter for my business, right? It really isn't. The things that politics and other things or natural disasters in the world, it doesn't affect me too much. Now, on a grand scale of, okay, inflation and fighting those headwinds that we always talk about, of course, right? We want to find solutions for those kind of things. But the day-to-day stuff doesn't affect us. Okay. So the effectiveness equation just makes no sense. Where is your focus more effective? Focusing on changing yourself as an individual, right? Not so much trying to change the world. Okay. Not only is it not useful to be obsessed with the news and mainstream media, it's also counterproductive and it sucks out all your energy, right? War, rape, kids dying, shooting, stabbing, political fighting, all that stuff. No. How can you be an effective go-getter if you're spending all your time focused on that negative stuff? You just can't, right? So the important stuff will get to you. Trust me. Just focus on yourself and self-improvement. Okay, now the second part of this is focusing on the wrong parts of projects, right? So Austin Kleon said, let go of the thing that you're trying to be, the noun, and focus on the actual work you need to be doing, the verb, right? So there are two ways to go about projects. There's, things like writing things or shooting a YouTube video or starting your business, right? Whatever it might be. So person A, they're focusing on the window dressing, right? They need to have their blog perfectly set up or designed before they can write. They need their most expensive camera that's got all the lighting and everything before they can start shooting their YouTube channel videos. Or, instead of looking for customers for their business, they're buying business cards and setting up their LLC. And, even though they're making no money, they're putting CEO on their business cards and their Twitter bio and all that stuff. Okay. Well, yeah, not good. Person B, however, gets cheap hosting for their blog. They have it set up in hours. They start writing, right? When I started my YouTube, I just opened up my laptop and I started shooting videos. I just had a little whiteboard, right? And I just started writing on it and explaining comp plans and all that. I didn't worry about if I had a high definition webcam, right? So if you want to start your business the right way, you start right now, right? You just jump in on LinkedIn and you start talking to people, okay? Person B always wins. That's how it works. Entire businesses have been built on scouring LinkedIn, setting up simple landing pages, blogs, and online stores. There's no need for all that fancy dressing to be successful. Okay. I'm not saying that you can't, but don't be obsessed by it. I notice often that people who are beginners at something but have good production and packaging almost always fail. Perfectionists get the least traction, but those who just dive in and do it, they're the ones that win. Now, the other thing is we're not going to worry about dumb stuff. Okay. Remember, you alone get to choose what matters and what doesn't. The meaning of everything in your life has precisely the meaning that you give it. Right. So doesn't matter. You're too short, or you're too tall, or you have no money, or your parents didn't hug you enough, or you don't have the resources and network to be successful. You're any other category than a white male, right? You feel unfairly chastised for being a white male, or you're left-handed, or you live in a small town, or you have a rare toe disease. Doesn't matter. Everyone has an excuse. Everyone has a sob story or something to complain about. The world is unfair. It just is. Okay. And so, hey, you know what? It's some people will take it to the extreme where, ooh, wow, I'm the sob story here, right? But hey, none of us is so unique that no one has ever experienced anything similar to what we're going through. None, no one. Look, I know you feel like your situation might be unique, but it isn't. And I know you feel like some immutable characteristic you have is holding you back, but it's not. So, what if you just start behind others on your race? So, what if you started behind others in your race in life? Are you just going to quit it? I have a little joke I tell people that complain to me about their super unique situation. I tell them, okay, well, yeah, you're right. Just quit because I don't know what to tell you. That joking response is the only appropriate response to those feelings because you're fine and you can do it. It is the 21st century. Thanks to the internet, right? The playing field is way more than level enough now. So stop listening to the snowflake brigade. Yeah, I said it. And win regardless of your situation. Okay. Number 4 is falling in love with the muse. So the sure sign of an amateur is he has a million plans and they all start tomorrow. Okay. So, or what you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. But once you understand that life is a game of momentum, you'll understand how to be successful. Stopping and starting all the time not only makes you ineffective, but it makes it harder to start each time. I see it with writers all the time, right? They wait for inspiration to strike. Sometimes it does, and they do write something amazing, okay? But then they take a long break only to find they can't replicate that process. Almost everything in life can be analogized to the gym. So you could work out every day for a year, but then you stop working out for a few months and you lose a bunch of that progress. Sure, you retain some, but you just can't go lift the same weights you used to be able to when you start again. So I talk about finding your strengths ad absurdum for a reason. The more you like something and the more talent you have for it, the more likely you are to stick with it. And that's a key thing. I've had success with networking for one simple reason. I never stopped, right? It's the consistency. It just is. People who start and stop all the time are like people who buy and sell investments because the price goes up and down. Okay. Great investors buy and hold, right? We know that. Maybe you're like I used to be. You have a ton of ideas, hobbies, and projects, and you try them on and off for weeks or months at a time, but nothing sticks. Well, living like this causes frustration and makes you never want to stick with anything. You build an identity as a person who never sticks with anything, but you can break out of that. Make it 90 days. Just try 90 days at first, doing your thing daily, then 6 months, then a year. You know what? After 24 months, you're unlikely to quit. You're just going to keep going. It will be a true habit. Okay. Number 5, this might be the worst one. How much time he saves who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks. Marcus Aurelius. The one thing I've noticed is how much people bond or even get upset over the accomplishments of other people. In conversation, they talk about their favorite sports teams, their TV shows, their movies, their restaurants, whatever, things other people worked hard to create and perform. Or on the negative, they'll hate on people that they don't even know, right? I love using the Kardashians as a Rorschach test. If you have too strong an opinion on them, you're weird, okay? Why do you care what they're doing? This theme about over caring about what other people do works both macro and micro, from celebrities to gossiping about people you know in your life. Similarly to what I said about the news, I just don't have the energy to prioritize what other people are doing. I'm not trying to not care. I just don't care by default as a byproduct of focusing on my own mission, right? I don't care what Taylor Swift's doing today. Doesn't matter. Focusing on what others are doing distorts your view of reality. From envying people who curate the best of their lives on social media to wishing you got the same lucky breaks as others, to even something seemingly positive like identifying too heavily with your favorite celeb or sports team, you're sending subconscious signals that your own life is of the least importance, right? Notice the theme there? The more you focus on yourself and your mission, your habits, your outcomes, you don't even have to try and stop being ineffective. It just happens. Okay. All right. Next thing, super important, is have fun. All right. Well, yes, having fun's okay, right? Work hard, have fun, and making a difference, right? And a certain level of escapism is good and necessary. I'm not saying it isn't, right? But after a long day where and my brain is engaged, I'm stressed over piecing together something, moving parts of a project, right? And all that. And I just don't have any creative energy left. It's okay. I'm going to zone out with a TV show or whatever, right? And I'll go out with my family. Okay, we go to the movies or we go bowling or we do lots of fun, normal activities. I'm not a self improvement robot. Okay, I'm not saying that we have to be. I make time for fun and for purposeful escapism, all that. But what's the difference between my escapism and the escapism of most people, maybe? Is that most people use escapism constantly because they can't handle their lives, right? It's a crutch, it's an excuse. They use it as a coping mechanism. If you have to do a certain activity, then you're a slave to it, right? If you have to go out and drink every weekend and you're above the age of 25, you probably have some emotional issues to deal with, to be honest, right? Watching TV from the second you get home until you go to bed at night is a sign that you're trying to numb yourself enough to make it to the next day. So it's never the activities in and of themselves, but the reasons you're doing it. I used to hedge and not allude to the idea that people are using escapism to run the clock on their life or run out the clock on their life, but this is exactly what they're doing. So your behaviors, the
We lost
mission
you, Jeremy.
supersedes them. Mhm. Okay, and then number 7, the people that are highly ineffective tell themselves the biggest lie ever. The overarching theme here: ineffective people don't just admit what they want from life and decide to go get it. They lie to themselves. Here's the thing about lying to yourself, though. As much as you're able to bury your dreams into the recesses of your soul, you still know that they're there. And the more you try to repress your feelings, the worse off you'll be. Society is so messed up simply because people are lying to themselves. That frustrated energy has to go somewhere. And you see it manifest in many ways, some quite nasty. You know that what you want to do with your life deep down, but you're just not doing it. So ineffective people think of themselves into insanity, and they build this gigantic pile of rationalizations to cope with life. I'm content, they say. Well, no, you're not. I can smell the discontentment on you from across the computer screen. Or they say, I don't need to insert their desired goal. Well, no, you don't need to, but you want to. I have good family and friends, a roof over my head. Well, yeah, most people do. So you don't get points for that. Sorry. There's nothing impressive about that. This is about you. Well, I don't know you personally. But I'm pretty good at reflecting your emotions back at you. Why? Because we're mostly the same, right? We mostly have the same basic dreams, and most of us are ineffective at getting them, unfortunately. Why? Because we're stifled, depressed, and we're afraid. I see all of this creative energy in people, but it's locked up. We live in a culture where you're shamed for wanting to crawl out of the crab bucket, right? My life got infinitely better when I decided I wasn't going to let the opinions of crabs hold me back from doing what I wanted to do. I want to build wealth, have tons of fans, travel the world, find spiritual enlightenment, make my local community better, develop an elite level network relationships, and list a mile long of other goals. Not only do I want all these things, but I'm going to get all of them without an ounce of shame. Not only is it okay to want to win, it's the prerequisite to winning. You have to decide to live a better life. And once you do, you'll be more effective than you could ever imagine. So that, my friends, are the 7 things that we want to avoid, right? The 7 habits of highly ineffective people. Let's change that. Let's go out and change the world. We've got an amazing project that we can be involved in to make that happen coming soon. And I can't wait to be part of it with all of you. So, with that, I'll let you get back to your Saturdays. Thanks so much, and we'll be in touch. All right. Thanks, guys.